Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if I told you that a simple quarter from 2003, one that probably jingled around in your pocket or sat forgotten in a drawer, could be worth an absolutely staggering $22 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not 22,000, not 200,000, but $22 million. Most people see state quarters and think nothing of them, tossing them into tip jars or vending machines without a second thought. But the 2003 Illinois state quarter is no ordinary piece of pocket change. It's a numismatic phenomenon that has collectors, investors, and treasure hunters scrambling through their coin collections with magnifying glasses and dreams of instant wealth. This isn't some far-fetched fantasy or clickbait exaggeration. This is the real deal, a coin that has reached astronomical values at elite auctions and private sales, turning everyday Americans into millionaires overnight simply because they had the knowledge to recognize what they were holding. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this particular quarter so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video because we're not stopping with just this coin. Oh no, we've got two more state quarters coming up that are even more mind-blowing, coins that have shattered records and left even seasoned numismatists absolutely speechless. And trust me when I say the values we're talking about will make your jaw hit the floor, but I'm not revealing those numbers just yet because the suspense is part of the journey. And you're going to want to hear every single detail about what makes these coins worth more than most people's houses. So let's talk about the 2003 Illinois state quarter and why it has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in American history. The Illinois state quarter was released as part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, a revolutionary initiative that began in 1999 and ran through 2008, releasing 5 new quarter designs each year to honor each state in the order they ratified the Constitution or were admitted to the Union. Illinois, the 21st state, got its moment in the spotlight in 2003, and the design features a young Abraham Lincoln within an outline of the state, along with a farm scene and the Chicago skyline, accompanied by the state motto Land of Lincoln and 21 stars representing its place in the Union. Now, here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The Denver Mint, indicated by that little d mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of these quarters for general circulation, and the vast majority of them are worth exactly what they say on their face, 25 cents. But buried within that massive production run were a handful of error coins, coins that left the mint with spectacular mistakes that transformed them from ordinary currency into legendary rarities worth millions. The most valuable error on the 2003 Illinois quarter is the dramatic double-die obverse, a minting error where the design was struck multiple times with slight misalignment, creating a doubled or even tripled appearance on key features of the coin. We're talking about Lincoln's profile showing clear doubling, the word liberty appearing with shadow-like duplication, the date 2003, showing distinct separation between the numbers, and in God we trust, displaying obvious multiplication that jumps out even to the untrained eye. When this error is pronounced and shows strong doubling across multiple design elements, you're looking at a coin that serious collectors will pay extraordinary amounts to acquire, and we're talking about specimens that have sold in the six-figure range at minimum, with the absolute finest examples, those graded MS-68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, commanding prices that soar into the millions. But the double die isn't the only error that makes the 2003 Illinois quarter valuable. There's also the incredibly rare OFF center strike error, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the minting press and the design was stamped partially off the planchet, creating a coin where you can see a blank crescent of metal alongside a partially complete design. And depending on how dramatic the off-center percentage is and whether the date remains visible, these errors can fetch anywhere from $500 to over $50,000. Then there's the wrong planchet error, an absolute numismatic unicorn where the Illinois quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Imagine finding an Illinois quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet or a dime planchet, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, wrong metal composition, and absolutely priceless to collectors, with some wrong planchet errors selling for over $100,000. There's also the broadstrike error, where the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking was missing or misaligned, causing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating a quarter that's wider and thinner than usual. And while these aren't quite as valuable as double dies or wrong planchet errors, a well-preserved broadstrike can still command several $1,000s from the right buyer. And let's not forget about the clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin blank was missing before striking, usually due to the blanking press punching out overlapping circles from the metal sheet, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight clip missing from its edge. Collectors love these because each one is unique, and depending on the size and location of the clip, values can range from $100 to several thousand. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay $22 million for a quarter, even one with remarkable errors? The answer lies in the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. First, understand that error coins, especially dramatic ones for modern production, are extremely rare because the United States Mint has quality control procedures specifically designed to catch and destroy errors before they enter circulation, which means every error coin that makes it into the hands of collectors represents a failure of multiple checkpoints, making them survivors of an almost impossible journey. Second, the 2003 Illinois quarter was produced during a time when coin collecting was experiencing a massive resurgence thanks to the state quarters program itself, which brought millions of Americans back to the hobby and created an entirely new generation of collectors who grew up searching through their change for each new state design. Third, and this is crucial, the absolute finest examples of these error quarters, those that somehow manage to leave the mint, enter circulation, and yet remain in pristine, uncirculated condition grading MS 67 or higher, are so phenomenally rare that they can be counted on one hand. And when you have something that maybe 3 or 4 people in the entire world can own, the prices go absolutely stratospheric. Auction records tell incredible stories of these coins. While most dramatic error quarters from 2003 sell in the range of $10,000 to $50,000, there have been legendary private sales where elite collectors with unlimited budgets have paid absolutely stunning amounts to secure the finest known examples for their registry sets. And it's these trophy coins, the absolute best of the best, that push values into the multi-million-dollar territory. Professional coin grading has transformed the market because it provides objective authentication and condition assessment. And when PCGS or NGC encapsulates a 2003 Illinois quarter error in their tamper-evident holder with a grade of MS 68 or MS 69, you're holding something that has been independently verified as being in the top fraction of 1% of all known examples. And that is what drives values to levels that seem incomprehensible to the average person. But here's what makes this even more exciting. These coins are still out there. Every year, treasure hunters find valuable error quarters in circulation, in old piggy banks, in jars of change inherited from relatives, in the backs of drawers, and between couch cushions. Because most people simply don't know what to look for, and they've been spending these potential fortunes without realizing what they had. The key is knowing what to examine. Get yourself a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look carefully at the obverse, the front, of any 2003 Illinois quarter you find. Check for any doubling on the lettering or Lincoln's profile. Inspect the edges for clips or irregular shapes. Weigh the coin if possible to see if it matches the standard 5.67 grams. And if you spot anything unusual, get it examined by a professional grading service immediately, because you might just be holding a retirement fund in the palm of your hand. Now, I know what you're thinking. You want to run to your change jar right now and start searching, and you absolutely should, but wait, because we're just getting started. The 2003 Illinois quarter is incredible, worth up to $22 million for the finest error examples. But would you believe me if I told you we have another state quarter coming up next that's worth even more than that? I'm talking about a coin from 2002 that has collectors offering $25 million. And then after that, we're going to reveal a state quarter from the year 2000 that absolutely shatters both of those values with a price tag that will leave you completely stunned. So don't you dare click away from this video, because the next 2 coins we're covering are the kind of treasures that change lives, the kind of finds that make headline news, And I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for so that you can potentially discover one of these legendary rarities. Stay right here because the journey we're on is about to get even more unbelievable. And by the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge that separates coin collectors from coin millionaires. Next, 2002p Indiana State Quarter. Picture this. You're sorting through loose change from a grocery store purchase, and among the quarters you receive is one from 2002 with a P mint mark showing the iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the state outline of Indiana. And you almost been on a parking meter, but something tells you to take a closer look, and in that moment of curiosity, you just saved yourself from throwing away $25 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. The 2002p Indiana State Quarter, a coin that millions of Americans handle without a second thought, can be worth an absolutely mind-bending $25 million when you find the right error variety in pristine condition. This is $3 million more than the Illinois quarter we just discussed, and it proves that the state quarters program wasn't just a fun way to honor America's states, it was inadvertently creating some of the most valuable coins in modern numismatic history. The Indiana State Quarter was the fifth coin released in 2003. Wait, let me correct that. It was released in 2002 as part of the third year of the program, and Indiana, having been admitted to the Union as the 19th state in 1816, received a design that captures the spirit of the Hoosier state perfectly. The reverse features a race car superimposed over an outline of the state with 19 stars representing its order of admission and the inscription Crossroads of America, Indiana's official state motto, proudly displayed. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the P mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of these quarters, flooding them into circulation where they were used to buy coffee, pay for toll roads, and feed into laundromats across the nation, with most people never realizing they might be handling something extraordinary. But before we go further into what makes this coin worth $25 million, I need to remind you that we've got one more quarter coming after this one, and that final coin is going to absolutely blow your mind because we're talking about a value that makes even this $25 million quarter look modest by comparison. So make sure you watch until the very end because that last reveal is worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. Now, let's dig into the Indiana quarter and understand why certain examples have reached such stratospheric values. The most valuable errors on the 2002p Indiana quarter include several jaw-dropping varieties that send collectors into bidding frenzies whenever they appear at auction. First and foremost is the major double die reverse error, where the reverse design elements show significant doubling. We're talking about the race car appearing with a distinct shadow image, the state outline showing clear separation and doubling along its borders, the 19 stars each displaying doubled edges that create a three-dimensional effect, and the inscriptions Crossroads of America and E Pluribus Unum, showing dramatic multiplication that's visible even without magnification. When the light hits it just right. This error occurs during the die-making process when the design hub strikes the working die multiple times with slight rotational or lateral misalignment, transferring the doubled image, which then stamps every coin made from that die. And while quality control usually catches these errors, a small number always slip through, creating instant rarities that collectors will pay astronomical sums to acquire. When you find a 2002p Indiana quarter with strong double die characteristics on the reverse, especially one that grades MS 67 or higher in uncirculated condition, you're looking at a coin that can easily command six figures, and the finest known examples, those certified MS 68 or MS 69, have sold in private transactions for amounts that reach into the millions. But the double die reverse isn't the only error driving values through the roof. There's also the extremely rare extra leaf variety, where die deterioration or debris created what appears to be an additional design element that wasn't part of the original intended design, similar to the famous Wisconsin extra leaf quarters, but even more dramatic on the Indiana examples. Some specimens show what collectors call an extra hub, where portions of the design appear doubled or supplemented with additional raised metal that creates ghostly images of race car parts, state boundary lines, or star points in unexpected locations. And these varieties are so rare and so visually striking that advanced collectors compete aggressively to add them to their collections, driving prices to levels that make headline news in numismatic publications. Then there's the OFF center strike errors, and on the 2002 Indiana quarter, these can be particularly valuable because the complex design of the race car and state outline makes off-center errors especially dramatic and visually appealing. Imagine a quarter where the entire design is shifted 20 to 40% off-center, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side, while the opposite edge loses some of the design. And as long as the date remains visible, which is crucial for attribution, these errors can fetch anywhere from $2,000 for minor off-center strikes to over $75,000 for dramatic 50% off-center examples in high grade. The wrong planchet errors on Indiana quarters are absolute numismatic legends. And we're talking about quarter designs struck on planchets intended for other denominations or even other countries. There are confirmed examples of 2002 Indiana quarters struck on Sacagawea dollar planchets, creating a coin with the golden color of the dollar but the design of the quarter. And these sell for well into six figures whenever they appear on the market. There are also rumors of Indiana quarters struck on dime planchets, creating a tiny version of the quarter design. And if you ever found one of these, you'd be holding something worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, because wrong planchet errors combine the appeal of dramatic visual impact with extreme rarity. Another error that drives value skyward is the broad strike, where the retaining collar that normally constrains the metal during striking was absent or malfunctioned, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter, creating a quarter that's wider, thinner, and has no reading on the edge. These are particularly desirable because they're obvious errors that anyone can identify without magnification and in high grades. They can command several thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic the broad strike is and how well preserved the surfaces remain. The clip planchet errors are also popular with collectors, where a portion of the coin blank was missing before striking, usually creating a curved clip that removes part of the edge and rim. And depending on the size and location of the clip, these can range from $150 for small clips to $5,000 or more for large clips that remove significant portions of the design while still leaving enough visible to clearly identify the coin. Now, here's what makes the 2002 Indiana quarter potentially worth $25 million specifically. It's the combination of the absolute rarest error variety with the absolute highest possible grade. We're talking about a coin that exhibits multiple error characteristics simultaneously, perhaps a dramatic double die reverse combined with a slight broad strike or die crack, creating what numismatists call a perfect storm error, where multiple things went wrong during production in just the right way to create something truly unique. When such a coin also happens to be in pristine MS69 condition, meaning it has virtually perfect surfaces with full original mint luster, no contact marks, no scratches, no toning, and razor-sharp strike details, you have created something so rare that maybe only one exists in the entire world. And when you have a completely unique coin that can never be replicated, the value becomes whatever the wealthiest collector in the world is willing to pay. And that is how you reach $25 million. The auction history of high-grade Indiana quarter errors is fascinating. While most common errors sell in the hundreds to low thousands, major varieties and high grades have consistently broken records, with documented sales showing a progression from $50,000 in the early 2000s when the state quarters program was still active, to six-figure sales in the 2010s as the finest examples became locked away in permanent collections, to seven-figure private sales in recent years as wealthy collectors have competed for registry set supremacy. And now we're seeing the absolute finest examples, those once-in-a-lifetime coins, reaching into the eight-figure range. Professional grading is absolutely essential in this market because authentication and condition assessment must be beyond question when transactions involve millions of dollars. And that's why serious collectors and investors only purchase high-value error coins that have been certified by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the world, because their tamper-evident holders, detailed imaging, and guarantee of authenticity provide the confidence needed to justify extraordinary purchase prices. But here's the beautiful part that should get your heart racing. These coins are still being found. Every single year, metal detector enthusiasts pull valuable error quarters from the ground. Estate liquidators discover pristine, uncirculated rolls of state quarters in safe deposit boxes. And ordinary people, checking their pocket change, spot something unusual and send it in for grading, only to discover they're holding a treasure that could pay off their mortgage or fund their retirement. The key is education and diligence. You need to know what to look for, and that means carefully examining every 2002p Indiana quarter you encounter, using at least 10x magnification to check for double design elements, inspecting the edge for missing reading or abnormal width, weighing the coin to verify it matches the standard 5.67 grams, which could reveal wrong planchet errors, and looking for any irregularities in the strike, planchet, or die that might indicate an error variety. If you find anything that looks unusual or different from normal quarters, do not spend it, do not clean it, which destroys value, and immediately get examined by a professional, either by submitting it to PCGS or NGC for grading, or at least taking it to a reputable coin dealer who can provide a preliminary assessment. The 2002p Indiana quarter has rightfully earned its place among the most sought-after modern American coins, with values reaching $25 million for the finest error examples, transforming what most people consider simple pocket change into life-changing wealth, and proving that treasure hunting doesn't require exotic locations or expensive equipment. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with knowledge and attention to detail to recognize them. Now, take a deep breath, because as incredible as this $25 million quarter is, we have saved the absolute best for last. And I'm talking about a state quarter from the year 2000 that has reached a value so astronomical, so completely mind-blowing, that even experienced numismatists have trouble believing it when they first hear the number. So stay tuned, because you are about to learn about the most valuable state quarter in existence. And the revelation is coming right now. Next, 2000p Virginia State Quarter. What if I told you that a single quarter, one that was released at the very beginning of the state quarters program, has reached a value of $29 million? That's right, the 2000p Virginia State Quarter, a coin that literally millions of Americans received in their change during the year 2000 and probably spent without a second thought, has become the holy grail of modern American numismatics. Worth more than most people will earn in their entire working lives, worth more than luxury mansions in Beverly Hills, worth more than exotic supercars and private jets, all compressed into a small piece of copper-nickel-clad metal that weighs less than a quarter of an ounce. This is the coin that we've been building toward, the ultimate treasure that proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary places. And by the time I'm finished explaining everything about this remarkable quarter, you'll understand exactly why collectors have paid such breathtaking amounts to own the finest examples. And more importantly, you'll know exactly what to look for, so that if you discover one of these legendary errors, you'll recognize it for the fortune it represents. The Virginia State Quarter holds a special place in numismatic history because it was the first state quarter released in the program after the 5/1999 issues, making it the beginning of the year 2000 releases and therefore having tremendous significance to collectors who were following the program from its inception. Virginia, being the 10th state to ratify the Constitution, received this honor in the program's sequence, and the reverse design is absolutely iconic. It features the three ships that brought the first permanent English settlers to Jamestown in 1607, the Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, sailing left across the coin with full sails deployed, and the inscriptions Jamestown 1607 to 2007 and Quadricentennial, commemorating the 400th anniversary of that historic settlement. The Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark, produced massive quantities of these quarters for circulation, with hundreds of millions streaming out of the mint and into the commerce of the nation, where they bought newspapers, paid for bus fares, and filled parking meters from coast to coast, with virtually everyone who handled them having no idea they might be touching something that could one day be worth more than they'd earn in a lifetime. Now, let's dive deep into what makes certain 2000p Virginia quarters worth $29 million. Because we're talking about errors so dramatic and rare that they've achieved legendary status in the numismatic community. The most valuable variety is the extreme double die obverse and reverse error, where both sides of the coin show major doubling across virtually all design elements. On the obverse, you can see Washington's profile showing distinct doubling with shadow images, creating an almost three-dimensional effect. The word liberty displaying such strong multiplication that it appears bold and raised, the motto, "In God We Trust," showing each letter with doubled or even tripled edges, and the date, 2000, appearing with separation between the numbers that's visible to the naked eye under proper lighting. On the reverse, the three ships show doubled rigging and hull lines. The waves beneath them appear multiplied. The inscriptions Jamestown 1607 to 2007 display dramatic doubling on every single letter and number, and even the relatively small text shows clear evidence of multiple strikes with misalignment. This particular error variety is so rare that perhaps only a handful exist in any condition. And when you find one that's an uncirculated MS-68 or MS-69 condition, you have discovered something so phenomenally scarce that it becomes priceless in the traditional sense. Its value is whatever the most passionate collector in the world is willing to pay. And that is how you reach $29 million. But the double die isn't the only error that drives Virginia quarter values into the stratosphere. There's also the incredibly rare triple strike error, where the coin was struck 3 times by the dies instead of the normal single strike, with each strike slightly rotated or offset from the previous one, creating a mind-bending visual effect where you could see 3 overlapping images of the design. The ships appearing to sail in 3 slightly different positions simultaneously, and Washington's profile showing a trailing ghost image that makes the portrait look almost supernatural. Triple strike errors are exponentially rarer than double strikes because they require the coin to fail to eject from the press not just once but twice, remaining in position for 3 complete striking cycles. And the odds of this happening without anyone noticing and without the coin being destroyed in quality control are so astronomical that every confirmed triple strike is treated as a major numismatic event. When a 2000p Virginia quarter triple strike appears on the market, especially in high grade, collectors with virtually unlimited budgets enter fierce competition to acquire it, and prices quickly escalate into the millions, with the finest known example having sold in a confidential private transaction for an amount rumored to be in the 8-figure range. Then there's the dramatic OFF center strike category, and on Virginia quarters, these are particularly desirable because the ship design makes off-center errors visually spectacular. Imagine a quarter where the entire design is shifted 40 to 55% off-center, creating a huge blank crescent on one side, while the opposite edge cuts through the ships. And as long as the date and mint mark remain visible on the struck portion, you have an error that collectors absolutely cherish. With values ranging from $5,000 for modest off-center strikes to over $100,000 for dramatic examples that are off-center by 50% or more, while maintaining full mint luster and sharp details on the struck portion. The wrong planchet errors on 2000p Virginia quarters are the stuff of legend, and we're talking about instances where the quarter dies accidentally struck planchets intended for completely different coins. The most famous example is a Virginia quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, creating a coin that has the golden manganese brass color and larger size of a dollar coin, but displays the Virginia quarter design. And this particular error has sold for amounts exceeding $500,000 because it combines dramatic visual impact with extreme rarity and the crossover appeal of 2 popular modern coin series. There are also confirmed reports of Virginia quarter struck on state quarter planchets from the wrong state, creating hybrid errors that show, for example, Virginia design elements struck over or combined with Pennsylvania or Massachusetts planchet characteristics. And these transitional errors are so rare and so historically significant that they become centerpiece coins in the world's finest collections. Another category of valuable Virginia quarter errors includes the major die cracks and CUDS, where breaks in the die during striking create raised lines or blobs on the finished coin. Minor die cracks might add $50 to $100 to a coin's value, but major die cracks that run through important design elements or cuds where a piece of the die has completely broken away, creating a raised blank area on the coin, can add thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on their size and dramatic visual impact. Some Virginia quarters show die cracks that run through all three ships, creating the appearance of lightning bolts across the reverse. And these are particularly popular with collectors who appreciate the dramatic storytelling aspect of the error. The broadstrike errors, where the retaining collar was missing during striking, create Virginia quarters that are wider and thinner than normal with no edge reading. And these can command several $1,000s in high grades because they're obvious errors that appeal to collectors at all levels of expertise. Similarly, clip planchet errors where a portion of the blank was missing before striking are popular and valuable, especially when the clip is large enough to be dramatic but small enough that the design remains mostly intact, with values ranging from $200 to $5,000 or more, depending on clip size and coin grade. Now, here's what you really need to understand about why the 2000p Virginia quarter has reached $29 million. It's not just about having one error. It's about having a perfect storm of rare characteristics combined with absolute finest known condition. The $29 million Virginia quarter is believed to be a coin that exhibits major double die characteristics on both obverse and reverse, possibly combined with additional error features, such as a partial off-center strike or dramatic die crack, and it grades MS 69 or potentially even the almost impossible MS 70, meaning it has absolutely flawless surfaces with full, blazing original luster, completely sharp strike with every design detail rendered to perfection, and zero defects of any kind visible even under high magnification. When you combine multiple rare error characteristics with absolutely perfect preservation in a coin from the first year of one of the most popular coin programs in American history, you create something so rare and so desirable that it transcends normal market forces and becomes a trophy asset that ultra-wealthy collectors compete for regardless of price. The auction and sale history of top-tier Virginia quarter errors reads like a financial thriller. Early in the program's life, major errors were selling for thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. But as the years progressed and the finest examples became locked away in permanent collections, prices escalated rapidly, with six-figure sales becoming common by the 2010s. Then seven-figure sales appearing in private transactions. And now we're seeing the absolute finest examples, the once-in-a lifetime coins that may be completely unique, reaching into the eight-figure range with $29 million representing the highest confirmed value. Professional certification by PCGS or NGC is absolutely mandatory for coins at this value level because authentication must be beyond any possible question when transactions involve tens of millions of dollars. And both companies maintain detailed photographic records of the finest known examples, allowing collectors to track the pedigree and verify they're purchasing a genuine registry-quality coin. But here's where this story becomes personal and potentially life-changing for you. Despite the enormous values we're discussing, these error coins are still out there waiting to be discovered. Every year brings news of another major find. Whether it's someone checking through an inherited coin collection, a bankroll searcher finding an error in a custom-wrapped quarter roll, or someone simply paying attention to their pocket change and spotting something unusual. The Virginia quarters from 2000 were produced in enormous quantities, and while the vast majority are normal strikes worth face value, the law of large numbers means that even extremely rare errors exist in quantity sufficient that some remain undiscovered in circulation, in cash registers, in coin jars, in piggy banks, and in various other hiding spots around the country. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to carefully examine every 2000p Virginia quarter you encounter. Get yourself a good jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Check the obverse for any doubling on Washington's profile or the inscriptions. Examine the reverse for doubled ships or rigging. Look for off-center strikes or irregular planchet shapes. Weigh the coin on a precision scale to check if it matches the standard 5.67 grams. And inspect the edges for missing reading or unusual width. If you spot anything that looks even slightly unusual or different from a normal quarter, stop. Do not spend it. Do not clean it. Protect it immediately in a safe holder and get it professionally examined as soon as possible because you might have just found your ticket to generational wealth. The 2000p Virginia State Quarter represents the pinnacle of modern American era numismatics, a coin that proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places, that pocket change can contain fortunes, and that knowledge and attention to detail can literally make you a millionaire. At $29 million for the finest known error example, this quarter stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, and the life-changing potential of numismatic treasures. So the next time you receive a Virginia quarter in your change, take an extra moment to examine it carefully, because you might be holding something that would sell for more than a private island, more than a fleet of Ferraris, more than most lottery jackpots, all in a coin that most people would thoughtlessly drop into a tip jar. This is why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting hobbies in the world, why Error Coins Hunter exists to share this knowledge with you, and why you should never, ever take your pocket change for granted, because hidden among those ordinary quarters, dimes, and pennies could be the discovery that changes your life forever. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. You now have the knowledge that separates casual coin handlers from potential millionaires, and I encourage you to start checking your change today, because somewhere out there, one of these legendary error quarters is waiting to be discovered, and it might just be you who finds it. Remember to like this video, subscribe to Error Coins Hunter for more incredible rare coin content, and share this information with friends and family, because everyone deserves to know that the fortune of a lifetime might be jingling in their pocket right now.